Well, somehow we have done this again. We found a way to go live. We have an exciting guest. Carrie, we've got Dallas Arcand coming on the show. Talk to me about what we're going to get a chance to talk about today.
As is the way I do things, I was like dreaming up somebody I would like to talk to. And this time I was interested in finding somebody who had multiple businesses, an Indigenous entrepreneur running multiple businesses. And I was so excited to find Dallas because he performed at the Vancouver Olympics opening ceremonies in 2010. Hoop dancing. I don't exactly know the right term for it. We'll find out today. But it's one of the most watched events in the world. And I thought, where do you go after something like that? Because for a lot of people, that would be like the one thing they did and the only thing you ever hear about them. He has done so much. So world championship hoop dancer, been performing for 30 years. Also the founder of a production company and has figured out how to turn kind of cultural performance into sustainable business. He's worked in anti-bullying spaces. He's just done so much. So I dreamed him up and there was somebody out there that was as exciting as I hoped they would be. So that's what today is.
Hi everyone, Tim Kitzrow from NBA Jam and NFL Blitz, welcoming you to The Backpack Show. Your hosts, Chris Brogan, Kerry Gargone, Boom Shakalaka.
Backpack Show. That was a lot of things, and you went through them really quickly, so we have a lot to learn today. But I think let's just bring out Dallas and start digging right into this and find out what we got going on. Dallas Arcand, welcome to the Backpack Show, and hello to Joanne. Hello to my dad. Welcome to the show.
Hello, good morning.
Thanks for being game to come on. So I found you through the Powwow Awards for Indigenous entrepreneurs. And the more I learned about you, the more excited I was. So first of all, you've been dancing with your whole life, hoop dancing. Is that right? How did you first start with it?
Yeah, I started when I was a teenager, and not my whole life, I guess. I was dancing because I kind of had a little bit of a rough start as a child, as a youth. I kind of had I came from like a broken home, broken family. I was adopted. It's kind of like an orphan kid, I guess, would be the most simplest way to put it. And hoop dancing came into my life at a good time. I didn't even know like such a subtle little thing like hoop dancing would change my life in a big way. When I first got into hoop dancing, I had no intention of actually performing or anything like that. I didn't want to be a performer. I didn't want to be on the stage. I just, for a second, it took me away from, my worldly problems at the time because, at the time, I was dealing with a lot as a young person. I was dealing with a lot of dysfunctional activities around me because I was living in the rough part of Edmonton, and my parent struggled with alcohol and substance, and there was that kind of vibe in the home, and you know, like I said, hoop dancing came into my life at a good time because. Uh, Looking back in hindsight, I credit hoop dancing for saving my life in a big way because it saved me. Like I don't know how to put it, but it's like this entity in the hoop dance site because they our elders and our community members refer to hoop dancing as a healing dance. It's made for like that's the background of hoop dancing. That's the meaning behind hoop dancing is that it's a healing dance, and I my whole life and my whole career as a hoop dancer, I've always tried to understand that why me, why the hoop dance, and all that stuff. So yeah, before that, I didn't know much about hoop dancing. I didn't know what it was. Like I never grew up with it, and that's the thing that a lot of people don't know, or some people know about Indigenous people, is that in Canada we were stripped of our culture, and it was once illegal to dance and to do powwow style dancing. It was illegal to practice our ceremonies. it was our people, like my parents and my grandparents, were punished for speaking their language by the missionaries and the residential schools and such. So I grew up basically in the aftermath of that. So I call myself an intergenerational residential school survivor. So sorry, I'm just going to mute my phone here so it doesn't disturb us anymore.
Yeah, tell him you'll call him back.
Yeah. Tell.
Well, so I have a question about that because I think to your point, so the missionaries, it was illegal for a while. Like you couldn't get into this culture. But I also think no matter what your background, no matter anybody's background, there's these phases in our life where we kind of push away the stuff, from our childhood and all that. We don't want that. We want the new thing or the modern thing or whatever. But there's a huge pressure, especially in Indigenous world, to preserve all this because as generations die out, chunks of knowledge and wisdom and all that fall away. Do you feel that kind of burden? And did you feel that kind of when you started, or did it come from a place of I really just want to understand my people more when you started?
No, I think the culture has grown a lot stronger because of people like me and the younger generation coming up, like after me. They are bringing the culture back in a big way because when I started, it was the era where people were afraid to be indigenous. They were afraid to be native. They were ashamed in a big way. I remember a lot of my peers growing up, they would dye their hair blonde and like pretend they were white people. And like no offense to white people, but I mean like, or I was like, I just seen them as apples, and here I am really trying hard to be native with my green eyes and my auburn hair. And I'm like, because I'm a half breed and my whole life I've struggled with my identity. So I've always been leaning towards always more the native side because that's where I grew up. I didn't know my father. My father was a non-indigenous man, a white man. So I'm a half breed. So like I've kind of been back and forth with that whole thing my whole life. It's tough being mixed ethnicities, because I've struggled with that identity. On the res, I'm the white kid. Off the res, I'm the native kid. Like so, it's like it's kind of been that sort of vibe my whole life, and yeah. So hopefully that addresses your question, and what I said with that is what I see because of social media too is that a lot of our culture is growing. Like a lot more people are sharing language, so I think the culture is more vibrant and stronger than it was 30 years ago when I started. So hopefully that answers your question. And like you can see it now, and our people in fashion and everything and social media, you see it everywhere. Like people are celebrating more and more and more and more openly, and it's becoming mainstream almost. Like Tia Wood is killing it right now on all the platforms. Like she's big time in the States, big time in Canada. um besides that, there's indigenous businesses are on the rise right now in Edmonton. There's an Anishinaabe company from out east, from I think they're from Manitoulin Island, but I think there's some are out that way in Ontario. Some that they just actually bought a big building downtown, like an indigenous nation bought an entire building downtown here in Edmonton. So that's what I mean. The landscape of everything is starting to change. More entrepreneurs on the rise. More of our people are finally getting the opportunities that were kind of not allotted to them in the future. I mean, in the past, just because of because of cultural discrimination and such, and the restrictions of being indigenous. But now, because of reconciliation and a lot of hardworking people have paved the path. Like myself, that's what I consider myself. I'm a trailblazer because I do this, and as a result of it, I've been able to teach my son. So my son didn't have to go through the crap that I went through growing up. So he got to inherit a lot of this, and like sure he had to deal with some of my crap, but whatever. I'm his dad, so
That's parenting.
That's
Did all
parenting, I guess.
did this
So
factor into your anti-bullying work? Like, was your own upbringing what got you interested in doing anti-bullying work?
yeah, well, it's needed out there, and I just basically share my own story, like and how I persevere in it, and how I'm able to move forward in life, regardless of my setbacks, regardless of the challenges and whatever. So, yeah, what I was saying too is that I've been able to provide, be a good provider for my children. My daughter is about to graduate from university. She's about to get her degree. She's only 22 years old, and yeah, she's doing really good. Like I'm super proud. So for me as a parent, that represents a lot to see my child succeed, because that was, a lot, was very unheard of for a long time, where, indigenous families had those opportunities to succeed in life. And you know in my generation, I come from a broken home, right? So my kids didn't really necessarily get to experience that as much. Like, sure, me and their mom or whatever, we're not together, but we're still there for our kids. Like the way I grew up, I didn't have anybody there. I still don't have anybody there. Like I don't really have that background. I've had to fend for myself all these years. In a way, I call myself a lone wolf. Because I really have to be strong and survive, and that's, to me, the wolf is a good analogy, because the wolf is a survivor, right? The wolf is a teacher. In our culture, the wolf, they say that the wolves are the ones that taught us how to live on the land. They're the ones that taught our ancestors how to live. So that's why I like that. I like being the lone wolf. Not the big bad wolf, though. I'm just the lone wolf, like, I kind of look at it that way. So, in a fun way.
You've done a lot. And in the process of this, sort of leaning from that lone wolf experience, I mean, you've had to solve a lot of things for yourself. Like you've had to, it's one problem after another kind of solving situation, which, I know that you're working on entrepreneurship and all that and explaining to people what it takes to do that as well. I'm curious to know, how did you find out that you had a knack for it? And how did you stick with it? Because it's a sawtooth, right? It's never a straight line going up to the right. It's like you're going to hit a wall and you're going to sink again. You're going to go up again. You're going to sink again. And like you said, you're not exactly leaning into, the book side of things in life and learning. You've learned a lot of this right at the front lines of it all. How did you pick this part of your life up, the entrepreneur part? How did you make it work for you?
Okay. Well, speaking of book, I got a new book in the works right now. It's actually literally still got the clip on it. I'm actually just
Nice.
doing the final go through with it. So I'll be sharing a lot of that in the new book. So a lot of the stories, a lot of the knowledge, because I want to put it out there too, to inspire other young people, indigenous or non-indigenous. I don't discriminate, because I'm a very worldly character. So uh, the way I've always looked at it, as as an artist, as just as a person myself, I've always looked at, like, it's just a way of survival. It's a survival technique. It's, how are you going to pay your bills? We all gotta hustle in life. We all gotta figure out, everybody's striving to get a better job. Everybody's striving to get a better deal, wherever we're at in life. So one of my secrets to entrepreneurship is just constantly improving on myself. So educating myself on new things, new methods, and then constantly looking for inspiration. And I follow a lot of entrepreneurs too, like. A lot of them are American too, like Jim Rohn, or Tony Robbins, or Grant Cardone, or Bedros Koulian. Like all these Americans, I'm always following them. And like, there's, in Canada, it's a little bit different. We don't really have that many famous entrepreneurs, and the ones that are famous, we don't really have access to them. Like, some of the ones in the States. Like I like those guys, like Lewis House, all these guys, all these YouTubers. I follow those guys, and they have a lot of good stuff. So I take what they teach and I bring it back to the community level. I bring it back to my level and I interpret it for myself. I use a combination of what they teach and what I know as an entrepreneur. I know, first of all, like you said, it's like a saw blade. It's up and down and up and down and up and down. Something's always gonna challenge you. It's gonna challenge your mental well-being at times, because all of a sudden you get slapped with a $30,000 bill, or you think you got to pay $30,000 like right now. Like, wow. Like, holy smokes. Like, how does the average person deal with that? Like, the average person, if you get a $30,000 bill, you're like, holy shit, man, I got like $30,000 I got to pay, like
I have
right
to
now.
move. I have to change my name.
Yeah, exactly. So it's dealing with that. So I recently had a situation with permitting here in the city. So, for example, this new cafe that I'm starting, sorry, this new cafe that I'm starting in the city, in Edmonton. It's a great learning experience. I've had a lot of learning in regards to it. Like getting the permit. It's like one thing after another, one thing after another. So that's where I thought, that's where that real world example of $30,000, because when I first started dealing with them, they said I got to get a building permit specialist and all this, and nobody would deal with me actually, because I guess I'm just a small fish, and a lot of these I discovered in the process that a lot of these permit people or business people in the downtown of any city, they only want the big fish, right? The little fish, small business owners, they don't really help as much. So I've been able to discover these things, and in the process it taught me how to deal with it and overcome that. So instead of freaking out over the $30,000 bill, I just me and my assistant, we just totally took it head on. Okay, I'm like, okay, well, how can we address this? Let's just take a shot at this anyway and see if we can solve this problem. And lo and behold, they accepted it. I'm like, wow, okay, that saves $30,000, just us going to finish drawing up the blueprints and the plans and working through the city, to make sure we're in compliance as a business, for safety codes, for fire codes. Like, that's what it's all about. So I was able to learn in the process how to navigate these systems, and not to freak out, like when there's a big challenge in front of you and there's still more, like it's still ongoing. Like, they just approved my permit, now I got some more hurdles to jump over. There's more
That's
hurdles.
the thing, though. Your whole life has been hurdles, and you overcome them and do another thing and another and another. And at this point, you have a whole portfolio of things that you're doing. You have a production company, you have an event space, you have a book about to come out. In addition to your, 30 years career as a dancer, you just don't stop. And that's what was so impressive to me. So where do you get the grit? Is it just part of you? Is it something you learned? How can other people build the kind of resilience you've built?
Well, I feel like we're all given a voice and we're all given a gift in life. And if you get too stagnant in life, then you kind of just fade away. And then to me, I struggle at times with my mental health too, just like everybody else. So I mean, at times, if I feel myself struggling, I go back to what I know, and I go back to the things that I know I need to do. So, if you're not busy doing something, then Grant Cardone actually says it best. Like, if you have blank spaces in your schedule, the devil will find you. You don't have to go looking; the devil will find you if you're idle and not striving for something, or not taking care of business, or because there's 100 things you got to do in a day, 1,000, sometimes 1,000 things you got to do in a day. Like, I just try to not let it overwhelm me. Like, I look at it like a big wall. I'm like, okay, I'll just pick away at it and, do the important, prioritize the things. And, if I miss something, I just like, okay, well, it's sorry, I'll get it done. I learned too, as a business owner, it's a lot easier to ask for forgiveness than to beg for permission. I want to put that on a t-shirt actually someday. It's a lot easier to ask for forgiveness than to beg for permission, and that's been my life's motto for a while.
So you've got a brand new book about to come out, The Grassroots of an Indigenous Entrepreneur. Where can people get their copy? What's the best way to do it? Because I got mine on Kindle on Amazon, but I know that there's going to be other options.
Yeah, I that one was sort of like a test copy. I wasn't trying to put it out. I was actually testing. I didn't mean for anybody to buy it, so I appreciate you buying it. But this is my first time putting on Kindle.
I
So
don't wait,
I
Dallas. I was like, I'm getting this before he realizes.
Oh geez, okay. Well, sorry about the edits, because I was still working out some edits there, and I didn't know that I uploaded the manuscript yet, but it's kind of not ready, but I appreciate it. It's like I didn't know I was actually going to sell any copies, not trying to sell it. But well, like I said, I'm an artist. I'm really picky about stuff, so if I know that it's it needs something else, then I had to go in there and rework some of the manuscript, because how I was able to do this book is I was able to outsource. So the lady that was editing it was actually in the UK. So I was able to, use technology and use a platform like Fiverr to get the resources for me. Because up in Canada, as you know, everything's crazy expensive, especially with Trump's tariffs and all. But I mean, like, besides that, it already is crazy expensive, like, to find a graphic designer and book person or editor. It's almost impossible. And even if you do, like my most recent experience, the guy I recently got ripped off $30,000 from the previous book editor. But that's a whole nother issue I can talk about. But I mean, like,
Well, I'm reading it anyway, Dallas. So if you want me
oh,
to point out anything that needs
okay,
to,
yeah, yeah, I've
because
made some things.
I'm an editor by trade, but I don't charge, like, I don't do book editing. I just read a lot, and then I do like corporate editing. But I'm reading it, so I'll drop you a line if you want.
Okay, yeah. Well, I did make some improvements on that, and it's not like I'm trying to be the best writer or anything like that either. I'm just trying to share what I know, and be the best author I can be. And I know there's going to be errors and this and that, like, so, but I'm doing all I can in my power to make sure that this is a good book. I know the paperback one will be like solid. I'm not putting out the paperback until it's solid. So I let that slip out there, that the ebook version. So I don't encourage
I
anybody
jumped
to
on
buy
it.
it. Just wait a week to buy it if people are gonna buy it on Amazon, because I'm gonna change it again, because that was like a test copy, and I might even just take it down, because
I'm sorry, Dallas. I am very impatient.
Okay, yeah. Well, me too. I'm impatient, but at the same time, I'm like learning too. So that I'm new to this space, and I've never been a book publisher in my life, but I'm figuring it out as I go.
Love it. Well, we have come to the part of the show where we talk about the kind of things you might want to add to the backpack. Now, ever since we started this show, we have had this concept of people can bring along just something either physical or metaphorical to give someone something to think about going forward, or some tool that helps them along the way. So throughout our whole process, we've had some really interesting things added into the backpack. Carrie, what's something physical someone might have added to the backpack?
Extra set of teeth. DJ Cumberbund from YouTube added an extra set of teeth to the backpack, because you just never know.
You never know when you're going to need teeth. And how about something metaphorical that one might add to the backpack?
We had the Oral Knots also from YouTube, and their advice was to take ego out of the backpack for creative projects and collaborations, because otherwise things don't go very well. So they actually took something out.
Well, Dallas Arcand, to this, you get to add either something physical or metaphorical. What do you think we should add to the backpack today?
Well, it's always good to have extra clothing and the productivity tools that you need. Like for me, my backpack always has my laptop, isn't it? And I love this little MacBook Air, so it fits in there nicely. It's actually thinner than my book. So I have my book, my date timer, and my computer, and my backpack is always full of hopes and dreams and aspirations, and if anything I could always use more of in my backpack is humility. I'm always practicing new ways to be humble.
It's a good thing to be. Uh, my dad, by the way, watches the show, and he says Dallas Arcand is a great guest. His light shines bright. He's very insightful and thoughtful, and he speaks his mind. Thank you for having Dallas Arcand on the show. So,
Oh,
You're welcome, because that was me who found him.
always is. Well, we find ourselves at that spot in the show, and I was thinking about the fact that it really is an interesting and exciting time for people. You know, your book is coming out. It's just a whole new world out there. And I think it was Lewis Howes who once said,
You didn't even thank our sponsors.
sponsors.